Well, what's goody good looking people? It's your boy Zaraki coming at you yet again with yet another Call of Duty mobile video. Today's video we are going to be highlighting all of the major balance changes that happened within the Season 6 patch notes. But hey, let's get straight into the video. Starting off with our first gun, we'll be looking at the Chicken, which received a reduced burst delay from 140 milliseconds to 125. And for some people they might be like, is that a big difference? Once you hop in game with this gun and you just recognize how fast that burst truly is, you are dominating lobbies at an astonishing rate. So hey, if you have not run the Chicken, if you have the legendary variant or the blueprint, you should definitely pull this gun out and put it back in your roster, because the Chicken is one of those ones, as I like to say. It's definitely one of those ones that if you aren't running, you are missing out on a lot of SMG fun. Has great range, has very good BSA accuracy, and it's just a phenomenal gun. On the screen, you will see the blueprint that I use in today's video, or rather the attachments I used in today's video, and this is just a great gun, hands down. Alright, so now let's shift focus just a tad bit and look at the Groza. Now the Groza was a gun that received a buff probably about 2 to 3 seasons ago, and let me just say that I don't have a legendary skin, but if I did, the Groza would probably be within my main weapons. And hey, if you are one that likes to, spend a little bit of money, the prestige weapon for this cycle is a Groza, and I'm looking forward to getting that myself. Cannot wait, because with these buffs that the Groza got, let's actually break it down. So on the screen you'll see the 16.7 VDV reinforced barrel received a debuff, which basically reduced the ADS penalty or movement penalty from 20% to 10%. So it's a 10% reduction on the restriction of how much you can move while ADSing. And then if you look at the Duster Pad, which is an attachment for the stock, it added a positive of 10 plus ADS movement speed. So basically there's a net of 20% ADS movement speed that could be gained by combining those two attachments together. Now, I'm not necessarily running that exact setup. I did try it in the games today, and let me just say it was phenomenal. But this gun, hands down, I really feel like you can kit it out to whatever you want and it will just be exceptional, because the gun has very little recoil and it does have a pattern that you kind of have to get used to. But I'll just say, hands down, I am very much impressed with the performance of the Groza over the past few seasons, and I'm looking forward to running it a lot more as time passes. Look at the movement speed that I can just exploit with this gun. It's phenomenal. Hands down, I have to give this gun a solid, I'd say 9 out of 10, just on overall functionality, because you're not getting this type of action out of most flex ARs in the game. So hey, that's going to be the loadout and attachments on the screen for the Groza. But let's go ahead and shift and look at our next gun on the list, which would be the FFAR-1. And it didn't receive too much of a major buff, but it did receive an additional 10% in damage range, which, if you know anything about the FFAR, it is a gun with very manageable recoil patterns, and also it's just a beam. Like you can probably see some of the clips, and I'll probably do some additional footage on the side from this video just showing some of the these guns just phenomenal qualities, because I am a close quarter combat I'm not gonna say aficionado, but I love close quarter combat in these games, and I really didn't get as much gameplay footage with the long range, testing out that extra 10% damage range, but I can definitely feel it just in how accurate this gun is, even in those close quarter engagements. You can see right here, wasn't able to get the guy off the heady, did a little bit more damage. I said, I'm not going to take that fight. But this gun is just still phenomenal. Hands down, I would give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. And on the screen now, you can see the blueprint and the attachment that I ran He stopped saying blueprint. The attachment that are in. Now moving on to a gun that I absolutely love. I actually was not recording. I about had a game where I about nuked within the first really like 45 seconds on a Nuketown domination. This gun is hands down phenomenal. If you know anything about the lag, even pre-buffs, was just a powerhouse. And with the current buffs that it has, I really feel that we might see this gun step out into the forefront and become a leader in the 2-tap meta. The ADS bullet spread was improved from 18 to 13. I repeat, the ADS bullet spread was improved from 18 to 13. And the ADS bullet spread improvement from 12.7 to basically 10 NBR, which I'm not a BR player, but this is a gun that I would definitely start running. On the screen you saw the actual attachments. Moving on to the Cordite. The Cordite is a phenomenal gun for those spray and pray players like myself, where you have upwards of 60 to 80 rounds just to lay down the lead and get a job done. You can clear a point, you can take care of a whole entire team. So I would highly recommend this gun for any beginner player. It's a great alternate to guns like the PDW or the Bison, which are two of my favorites, but this gun is just phenomenal, especially if you have this skin for it. The Cordite received a range profile increase from 9mm, 18 meters, and 25 meters to 13, 20, and 25. So it extends those damage range, and I believe the Cordite at the current time is possibly a 4 or 5 tap. But when you multiply that, or divide it rather, the amount of shots inside of the magazine, infinite damage basically. You can just keep on shooting and shooting. Now, moving on to the gun I just aforementioned, the PDW 57. The PDW is a gun that everyone is familiar with. Everyone loves it. I feel like just about everyone probably has this gun gold by now, because the PDW is just a powerhouse and a workhorse. And the PDW received a range profile adjustment as well from 27, 24, and 17 to 27, 24, and 18 and 16. And so this gun is just a consistent 4 to 5 tap. It just gets solid work done. You can see it cross-mapping right there, getting back up, taking that mid-range engagement. You can pretty much do whatever you want to do with the PDW, and it stands up to the test of time. It received an increased horizontal recoil reduction. At the time, the numbers weren't specified, but it is a very, very noticeable difference, even just for me who hasn't played with the PDW necessarily in the past few seasons as heavily as I normally would. But then also we look at the ADS movement speed penalty was reduced from 15 to 9. You have a lot of strafe speed. So let's just be real. PDW is a gun. If you're not running, start running it, because it is hands down phenomenal. Definitely a solid 9 out of 10 gun. Now, looking at the EM2, this is a gun that a lot of people are sleeping on. You know, they gave us a free skin for it a couple of seasons ago. People were still sleeping on it. The EM2 reload speed was reduced from 2.2 seconds or 2.6 seconds to 2.2 to 2.3 seconds. And the ADS bullet spread was improved from 17 to 14. That's a lot of bullet spread accuracy that is now packed into a 40 round magazine. And let me say, even though it is a slow firing gun, when those rounds are making impact, it is very, very, very strong. So if you aren't very familiar with the EM2, I would recommend pull it out and get to know it, because it is a great gun. You can basically kit it out to however you want. If you have the mythic variant, it does save you from having to run a red dot, which is a valuable attachment slot that if you don't want to fill up, you don't have to. So having the mythic does make it a little bit pay to win, if I'm being completely honest, but it is still a very, very fun gun to run, because it is just a beam at all ranges. I might have passed the clip, or it might be coming up. We basically, did some close range combat, and you still have some movement. I mean, it is right here. this right here, if I had have got the last guy, just being able to track targets or change targets, phenomenal gun. On screen, you'll see the blueprint, or the attachments rather, that I use for this gun, and I have to give it an honest, I'd say maybe a 6.8 out of 10, just because it's a very niche weapon. It's not really a LMG and it's not really an AR. It's just somewhere in the middle. All right, looking at the LK24. Now, this is a gun that I love, but just forget to equip because it is not necessarily my go-to AR. But every time I use it, I am reminded exactly why I love this gun. The LK24 received a head multiplier from 1.5 to 1.6 and an increased chest multiplier from 1.2 to 1.25, and that was with the marksman barrel. And that's what I attached or equipped for this video in particular, just to see how good it was hitting. And let me just say, this gun definitely lives up to the hype of its name, because it will work in close range quarters, which with the marksman barrel you do lose a considerable amount of ADS, movement speed, and just a very large amount of movement speed altogether. But in turn, you get a trade-off for a very reliable and consistent BSA on those longer range engagements, which is very crucial for this gun, because let's be real, if you want to get up close and personal, run an SMG. If you want to take those long mid-range engagements, get yourself a Flex AR. And this gun checks the boxes of it. Not really a Flex AR, but you know, if you know what you're doing, you have decent movement capabilities, you can definitely get the job done with it. So if you're looking for a great, I'd say Flex AR slash long range AR, the LK24 might be something you might want to look into. I'm definitely going to give it a solid 7 to 8 out of 10. Now, moving on to our LMG on the list, that would be the Hades. Now, I don't necessarily like the Hades. I really don't like LMGs. They just seem a little bit too overpowered in my opinion, because all you do is just spray and pray. I get tired of seeing RPG players and MG42 players, which now that the campaign is back in the game, I can imagine what rank reset lobbies are feeling like for a lot of people. But the Hades is a gun that I am seeing creep into VR gameplay, and also is slowly making its way back into MP on a very dominant level, because the gun, it is, you know, if I have to be honest, it's a workhorse. It's a workhorse for sure. It received the ADS bullet spread improvement from 22 to, I believe, 18, and that's only for MP. And I have to say, I was actually fairly impressed with just how much movement speed this gun had, whether it's ADSing or just strafing, hip firing around the map. And I'm not running the recommended build. I actually ran the, I think probably the number 1 or 2 global leaderboard players attachments for it. And although it does not have as many rounds inside of the magazine, for lack of a better word, it does have an insane movement capability that allows you just to exploit, one, the BSA accuracy and the sheer damage output that this gun is capable of, because this gun, hands down, is something that I was not expecting to be as good as it was. That's why I made the list. I'm not a huge fan of LMGs again, but this one was just good enough that I had to add it to the list, including another one. On the screen, you'll see my attachments that I ran for this gun that made it just take the cake for me. Now, moving on to our second and only other good LMG on the list, and that could be none other than the Dingo. Now, the Dingo received a new initial damage phase at 30 meters, or 8 meters, excuse me. Basically, the second and third ranges adjusted from 21 to 29 and from 20 to 30. Basically, it received a slight range increase, and I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of the Dingo in MP. If I had the legendary blueprint, I might be a little bit more different when it comes to the tune I'm sending, but as of right now, I'm not a huge fan of it. but the BSA accuracy is something I cannot refute. I definitely have to give it a higher rating for MP than I normally would. I guess I'd say I give it a solid 6.8, maybe 6.8 out of 10, which isn't horrible, but not the best. And BR, different story. But hey, that's going to be all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor and hit the like button. Maybe consider subbing to the channel because it does a lot more than you know for the algorithm, letting the good people at YouTube know, hey, we enjoy this content and want to see more like it coming soon. Which, hey, speaking of videos coming soon, if you want to see a VMP nuke and an insane comeback, stick around because that video will be dropping in a few days. Hey, so with that being said, a little bit of housekeeping. Before you get out of here, if you truly want to be a supporter of the channel, you can do yourself a favor, or I am giving back to you all. Leave your user ID in the comments below because at 500 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway to two lucky individuals, really four, but two individuals will be getting one, $100 worth of CP or $50 worth of CP, and then two additional individuals will be receiving 2 battle passes. So if you don't want to miss out on those two phenomenal options, CP or BP, drop that user ID in the comments below and make sure you are entered in to be in the raffle. But with that being said, I want to get out of here, but I would not feel right if I did not tell you all, do something today to make someone else's day just a tad bit better. You never know, you could change someone's entire day, maybe the course of their week or the entire course of their life, and never even know it. So hey, make a positive impact in someone else's life today, and you just might change your life on down the road in the future. Without further ado, it's been your boy Zaraki, and hey, I bid you adieu.